Tennessee Titans fans, there is a new quarterback in town by the name of Cam Ward, and maybe not everybody at ESPN wants to talk about him like he's a number one pick, but Pat McAfee has discussed Cam Ward here on his show, and hopefully Pat is giving Cam his flowers, something that a lot of people in the national media are for some reason having trouble doing. They'd rather give them to fifth rounders. Here we go.
Cam Ward goes from a 0-star coming out of high school,
Exactly.
triple option I read, offense. So didn't even really get a chance. Incarnate Word does his thing. Then he goes to Washington State, does his thing. Transfers to Miami for $1.5 million, $2 million, whatever it ended up being. Transfers that school back to what it used to be as a dominant force, and then showcases himself to not only potentially be a Heisman and all that, but ends up being the number one overall pick from 0 stars to the number one overall.
And that's a great story, isn't it? Am I crazy? That's a great story, regardless of who picked him. That is someone worth celebrating. That is a number one pick that is worth celebrating. Right?
Pick, all betting on yourself, believing in yourself, and never changing. There's a video, obviously, that has come out of him and Shedeur Sanders talking, and Shedeur said, like, hey, we should make a song together or whatever, and he go, I don't make songs. He said, I'm a football player. When people search Cam Ward, I want to say American football. That is all I want. Tennessee got a great one down there with an amazing story. And
I ain't here to make no songs. I ain't here to put out an album. I ain't here to build a brand. I'm here to play football. Yeah.
American dream. I think that is what the draft is all about, like lives changing forever. Some great, some good, but if you get in the building, you got a chance. 9-year NFL vet, Darius J. Butler is here. D-Butts, your big takeaway from draft weekend and your thoughts on the draft as a whole.
Draft weekend was great. It always is. Like you mentioned, 257 guys realizing their dream, and almost nobody goes as high as they think they should have gone outside of, obviously, the first pick, and then Travis Hunter, big splash move by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Didn't talk enough about Cam Ward, I don't think, obviously because of the Shedeur, and he probably was the most polarizing prospect coming into it. But, yeah.
And that's ridiculous. Because why does it have to be one or the other? Listen, I get it. Shedeur Sanders is the son of Deion Sanders. He's got a big personality. He's got, a larger-than-life persona. Fine, whatever. You're not the first. You won't be the last. But does that mean we have to completely disrespect and discredit the actual number one pick because we're so invested? And I don't want to hear any of this. Oh, I'm getting mad. Here we go. I don't want to hear any of this about, well, but it was such a polarizing story because he kept falling and he kept falling down the ranks. No. Because before any of that ever started, Cam Ward was the number one pick. He was the first person selected. And you guys were already ranting and raving about Shedeur Sanders. The Titans were on the clock, and you knew who they were drafting, and you used that time to give us Shedeur highlights. There was a time and a place for that. I'm not saying that the son of Deion Sanders should be ignored. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be, that he's not a polarizing figure. But when it starts to take away from the deserving athletes that are getting selected number one overall, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, when the Giants trade up to get Jackson Dart and you guys can't stop talking about Shedeur long enough to give that kid his moment. I don't care if you think that was a smart move by the Giants or not. What a moment for Jackson Dart. But not according to ESPN, because we got to keep talking. That's what people are mad at. Kyle on Good Morning Football today said it better than I ever could. People aren't mad at Shedeur. They're mad at you guys, the media. You make us want to root against him. And it's not anything against him. It's you guys and your stupid narratives you push that take away from deserving athletes.
Tennessee Titans, you got a division where you got a bunch of young quarterbacks. We still got a lot of shit to figure out here in Indy. Jacksonville's still really figuring out their situation, I think, even though they paid Trevor Lawrence. So this could be a potentially franchise-changing move with drafting Cam Ward. You mentioned all of the intangibles. You know, we see what he could do on the football field, but those videos with Shador, those training videos, that's kind of been an ongoing thing the last couple off seasons, them training together. You see a lot about, you know, just who he is, and obviously we know who he is as a football player, so I hope that story continues to go on.
The other thing was, you guys talked about Cam Ward, who is like, you know, because of the Shador thing, I think we all, as like an NFL world, haven't probably talked about Cam Ward enough because we've known he was going number one for a while. We interviewed
that, you know what? I should have watched NFL Network on the first night because I feel like that's fair. What Ian just said, it doesn't make up for it, but I understand. Everybody knew what the Titans were going to do. Everybody knew who the Titans were drafting. I understand that. That's not, like, by the time you get to draft night and you know Cam Ward's going to the Titans first overall, I get that's not exactly the most entertaining thing to talk about on TV because everybody's already aware. We've already handled it in the lead up, whatever. But you can still give the kid his moment when the Titans are on the clock and they're calling him to draft him and you're showing us Shador highlights. And I know that wasn't Ian Rappaport's problem. That wasn't his channel. But I get what he's saying. We haven't talked enough about Cam Ward because it was a foregone conclusion. We already knew. Fine. But we knew Caleb Williams was going first overall last year, and it didn't stop us from gushing over him, talking about how great he is 24/7 when the guy drafted number 2 ended up being better than him. It didn't stop us then.
Mario Cristobal, his coach of Miami, during draft week on the Insiders.
And you know what else I noticed? And this is not a knock on Ian, but it raises a point that he just said we, as sports media, have not talked about Cam Ward, the number 1 pick in the draft, enough. I hope they've all realized. I hope they have all taken these last couple days to look in the mirror and say, oh, yeah, we kind of screwed that up. We kind of disrespected that kid. I think ESPN owes him a formal apology. I stand by that. They owe him a formal apology on the air. I'm talking about spoken from the mouth of Mel Kiper. If he could stop talking about Shador long enough, he owes him an apology. And I will take that to my grave until he says it. Until he issues that apology, he owes him an apology. And so does Booger. And Skip Bayless. Nobody cares what he says enough to even worry about him apologizing for anything.
Just the interview, and you're like, all right, hey, thanks for coming, appreciate it. He was like, guys, like, the interview's over, cameras are off, but like we could still see him. Guys, listen, he is a dog. He's like, Cam is just wanted us to know, just not for the public, just for our brains, that this guy is a dog. He's like, he will change that franchise. He is the best, and I guarantee you he will be successful. And I was like, that is like, okay. And he gave a bunch of examples why, like just the time he puts in and all that, but like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, that was,
I love hearing that about people because that's kind of what we promote on the show, basically. Like, hey, you need dogs.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That's literally all you're trying to do is find somebody that loves ball and is a dog. That video.
Why is that boring to people? Why is a guy who just wants to work his butt off, and like, it's not just him, like there are other athletes, like why is Jalen Hurts so boring to people? Because he doesn't make headlines, because he doesn't say crazy things or do crazy things? I mean, Tom Brady in that regard was pretty boring. He just went out there and played and won. Why? I mean, I get it. It's 2025 and we care about headlines. We care about clicks. We care about likes. We care about shares. We care about engagement. I get it. I'm a content creator. I get it. But like, why do we let that become the most important thing, man?
That's circulating of him and Shador talking about making a song and him saying American football. It's a football player. And I think his dad, and you never know what's real and what isn't real. Calvin, is his dad Calvin Ward? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's his dad. Does he have an X account?
He does.
Okay, so he tweeted I think Schrager said something about all this guy wants to do is play football. And Calvin A. Ward, maybe? Is that the Twitter account?
I believe that is him, yes.
So that,
I believe that is him.
That tweeted or threaded underneath that and said, that's it. That's all he wants to do. All he's ever wanted to do. Like his dad was like that. He is a football guy through and through.
Yeah.
And it feels like not only has that served him well and probably had to make him be a gritty, 0-star recruit. Think about that.
Boy.
We talk about Bone.
The crazy
We talk about
story.
Bone.
Yeah, exactly.
We talk about Bone here. Bone was washing his own pads down in D3, wins a national championship at a left tackle. That big Bone. That guy loves ball.
He does.
That guy loves ball. D1 football is, at moments and times, incredibly hard.
One thing I want to say is that I don't know if you guys can see it, but a lot of these highlights they're showing of Cam Ward in college, Xavier Restrepo on the receiving end of a lot of these passes. I just want to say that.
In different
There you
ball.
go.
That's 100% correct. That's all he wants to do. He's always been that way. Yeah. So it's Calvin A. Ward, too. Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Still got it.
Calvin Award.
Yeah, bingo. I think that's potentially how I remembered it because they were awarded this guy. I think they got a guy down in Tennessee. I think they do. Feels like all indicate from what we believe in the way we talk. If the guy has enough talent and he's a dog, he's going to be good. That's legitimately how I feel.
Yeah. But you know what? Said it today on the podcast. I'll repeat it here. I hope Cam, he is one of the most disrespected number one picks I've ever seen. And I hope he's watched it. I hope he's noticed it. And I hope he has just logged it up here. I really do. Because I do believe he's a dog. And I do believe better times are ahead. Tighten up, everybody.